Okay, chapter 238 predictions, right? I almost forgot about this. It's a little late, but it's fine. I had to fix my mic, whatever. I feel that Sukuna's missing a weapon. No, I don't feel. He's missing a weapon because he has Kamutoke, which is the little round thing. Then there's also a second spear that in all those other pictures you see of him, like from the past, he always has that as well, right? So he typically has the Kamutoke and the little spear thingy, right? So I feel like he's gonna get that. Maybe not in this chapter, but soon or eventually, right? Also, how do I think Kashima's gonna do against Sukuna? To be fair, he'll get a few chapters for sure. Do I think that he'll do as good as Gojo? Maybe not, because I was also considering the fact that if Sukuna slashes at him, I don't think it'll do anything to him. Why? Because he can turn his body into like uh, natural phenomena, as they say, right? So if he turns himself into like lightning and gets cut in half, what of it? That's not his actual body. So if he's not actually getting cut, he can just like gets cut and then just comes back together without using reverse curse technique. He's pretty much immortal, really, especially from like slashes and stuff. Unless you hit him like with a purple, he'll be deleted. But I think I say most people, but then it's still gonna tank two of them. So I think that's how Kashima's gonna do. And even if Sukuna manages to activate his domain, which is another thing, right? Because he got his full body back, but does that mean he got his reverse curse technique, domain, everything back? Or is it just his physical body got healed without using reverse curse technique, which would save his stamina or his or curse energy, right? Which he has a lot of anyway, so he should be fine. But if he can pull a domain, considering the fact that Kashima was so impressed by the barrierless domain that Sukuna had, I don't think he has one, right? I don't think Kashima has one. But compared to someone like Gojo, where if he makes a battle between domains, I feel like he might have learned the Falling Blossom or Simple Domain just off of watching it. Because even Higuruma was able to like see it and be like, I think I kind of get it, and was analyzing it. And just like Sukuna learned the making like destroying the brain and making it again, I feel like Kashimo can do the same thing in terms of what's it? Just simple domain or something to get to counteract the domain long enough so that he can hit him with a strike. Because that's the thing, Gojo uses his domain against Sukuna and then can't use any of his curse techniques because they're burnt out. But Kashimo, on the other hand, doesn't need that because his manipulation of just the properties of his curse energy allows him to strike people, like what he did with Panda, with Kashimo or Hakari and all that in the fight, where he would just hit him with from the side, from the brain, from anywhere, right? So I think if he's fighting, he'll leave a charge, and then if Sukuna opens his domain, boom, he hits him with a strike instantly. Because we saw that him having like a hole in his chest by Gojo just punching him was enough for the whole domain to collapse, right? So if you can hit him with a strike, because even Hakari gets hit with that, and he has infinite curse energy, strong, whatever, it still rips through him, right? I mean, Sukuna takes damage anyway from high level attacks, so it wouldn't be too far fetched to say that he pulls the domain, boom, hits him with that, domain's gone. Doesn't even matter. So I feel like the domains won't matter. Kashima probably didn't learn an open domain just off of seeing that, because that they hype it up so much. I think it takes more than just looking at it. Because not even Gojo could do it. If Gojo could have copied it, and he's a genius, the strongest of current sorcery. Again, I still think he's alive. After that chapter and all of that, we'll just have to wait and see. It's hope, not cope. But for now, I won't even say anything about it because I don't think he'll be back in this chapter or any chapter soon. But I feel like he has something planned, which might have been giving that last finger to Yuji, right? Because Sukuna's like, where is it? I don't know. Gojo probably has it. It doesn't seem that he can detect it. Like, you would think he would be able to sense his own fingers, like he said. Or they told Yuji's like the fingers in himself. Pause. Resonate and point them towards other ones. So I feel like why wouldn't Sukuna be able to detect that Gojo has it on him, or not on him? Because I don't think he would fight with it on him. Well, I did say that in the last chapter, but I digress. Um, where he fights with it, not with it, but he would give it to Yuji because he can eat it. He'll be fine, and that'll help him get a boost, basically. And I don't think Sukuna will be able to possess Yuji's body anymore, considering the fact that his soul is now inside of Megumi. Although technically, No, yeah, because he transferred himself into the finger, then fed it to Megumi, and now he's in control. Speaking of Megumi, I feel like if he comes back, he'll still have Mahoraga and everything else because that's from his shadows. And that's a clear distinction that you have to make considering the fact that the 10 shadows is the Shikigami that comes from his shadow that manifests from Megumi, right? And even Mahoraga was different and everything else was boost when Sukuna used it. And Sukuna told Mahoraga, you're my shadow, okay? So show me what you got. And so I feel like that Mahoraga belonged to Sukuna's shadow. And then Megumi is going to be able to use the ones from his shadow. They might be weaker, but realistically, I mean, Mahoraga just by itself is already really strong. You know, it got beat by Sukuna, but that's because he had 2 techniques so he can kill it instantly. And if he hadn't adapted, Mahoraga that is, hadn't adapted completely to, what's it called, Gojo's abilities, and he wasn't so pressed, he, like, in that situation, if Gojo was in the same situation that Sukuna was, he could have killed Mahoraga as well. And so I feel like if Megumi comes back, he'll have the 10 shadows all still there, except for the White Wolf and the Orochi, which is a snake. Outside of that, I feel like he'll still have everything else. And if Yuji comes in, he'll probably have eaten both his brothers and also the extra finger that Gojo probably still had. Right? So that's if they come back. Hakari and Uraume, I'm not even going to touch on that because I don't see how the fight might go. Uraume, we haven't really seen her do much outside of the ice. And do I think Hakari can get out of it? Probably. I mean, Yuji was able to get out of it when he was fighting Sukuna and he got frozen. Although Uraume did say I used it less on him to make sure he doesn't die, which means she focused on Maki and Maki still got out, right? So I think he'll be fine because that's the only thing we've seen her use anyway. So if she has a domain, even I mean against Hakari's pretty much guaranteed domain, I don't think it'll like be the more refined domain simply because it goes back to what what's his name? Kashimo? No, not Kashimo. The guy, the sensei with the sword, was talking about how their domain is part of the curse technique with Higuruma and Hakari, right? So if he activates it, it's gonna be the conditions are gonna be so non-lethal that it's the more likely domain to take precedent against someone else's domain because like your domain is a guaranteed hit trying to kill someone. His is just gotcha, basically gotcha pulls, and so it'll probably not be able to be overrun. I mean, maybe against something like Sukuna's open domain or what's it called, Gojo's infinity, which is even against the barrierless, man, such a hard word. Even against the barrierless domain, Gojo still would have kept up until he got broken from the outside, right? And I don't think Uraume is on the level of Sukuna or anyone, right? Because I mean, she got bodied instantly by Gojo, and he wasn't even trying. Like she's not at that level. It's probably like near Kenjaku level, maybe probably lower. So outside of that, I don't think Hakari versus Uraume is going to be too much of a fight. Might not even come up in this next chapter. Probably the chapter after that. But back to the hope, the cope, if you will. I feel like at the end there might be one panel or something where Gojo like twitches or moves a finger or something. But hey, that's just me hoping. The fight against Sukuna and Kashimo, it'll be decent. Kashimo will put up a fight. I really do think that. And I think he'll be able to counter most of Sukuna's stuff, so he'll probably get something else or finally open up the black box or whatever to fire. Hakari, Uraume, I think Hakari has it. He'll be fine, or at least he'll keep up. There's not much to say there because we don't know much about Uraume's abilities. We know Hakari's, but Uraume's like it's only the freeze. Then there's Megumi. He'll come back and he'll probably still have all his shadow or all of his Shikigami because they're part of his shadow. Then you also have Yuji. Probably eats the last finger that Sukuna needed that Gojo probably still had. Then that's it. Obviously, we'll have Yuta fight Kenjaku and beat him. But we haven't even seen Kenjaku since he explained that, and this was in a flashback where he explained that the infinity only affects those that Gojo doesn't touch, and that's not him, right? That's the only time we saw him, and that was like in the flashback. So outside of that, that's it. If you guys have any other theories or predictions, I mean, chapter comes out in a couple hours, so if you see this video and you think about something quick, put it in the comments. Like it if you liked it. Dislike it if you didn't like it. You know, I'll see that. Even though they're not there, I get to see them, right? So if you didn't like it, go for it. Put in the comments. Although do explain. Okay, don't just hate on it. Actually explain. You know, give your opinions, whatever, where you disagree or agree. You know, you might still agree on most or not most. You know, share it with your other friends who are just as nerdy as me, I guess, who like talking about and making predictions and thinking about Jujutsu Kaisen. And thanks for watching. I appreciate it.